Welcome to another Monday Blitz. Today we're looking at the chapter of Matthew, chapter 6, where Jesus shares some of the most popular portions of this Sermon on the Mount. We hear in this story how Jesus instructs his disciples to pray, and we get some other valuable information. But I want to look at two parts of this that we may try to rush over to focus on other things. But I think in today's society, these two topics combined together really should cause us to stop and ask some questions of ourselves. The first is beginning right there, and I have to begin with a question. What does it mean for you to give to the needy? Jesus says, so when you give to the needy, he suggests this isn't as a question of if you're going to, but when you do, and then he gives instructions. But I started thinking about it. What exactly does it mean to me to give to the needy? And as I was thinking about it, a conversation I had a few years back with a DFACS director at the state level has always stuck with me. As we were talking about how to make things better, and this was a gathering where church leaders and state and local county and city people were together discussing helping people in need, our families and our children. And he made a comment that I will never forget. He said, if the church did what it said it does, there would be no reason for DFACS. There'd be no reason for this entire department to exist. And I wrestled with that, and I didn't like what I had heard. What do you mean if the church did what it says? Well, I wrestled with that, and we're going to come back to that in just a moment, but I want to tie into that a second section here in Matthew chapter 6, where Jesus again, he says there, verse 19 says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth. There's something that has always made me just stop and ponder a little bit, and that is church building projects. Maybe you're in one now, maybe you're finishing up paying for one. If you are going through that payment process, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We, as Christians, tend to spend a lot of money on buildings. So what exactly is the treasure in our buildings? What is the purpose of the building structures for us as Christians? Is it simply for our comfort in our worship gathering, or do we have purpose for it? Do we set it up to be used for a purpose of the gospel? Now, I'm not judging you or your church or even my own church as to what we've done. I'm asking the questions, saying we need to be considering, is what we're doing with our buildings something that is called by God, or is this something that we have done of building our own treasure? Here's why I ask that. What percentage of your giving, your personal giving, goes to simply care for your own comforts in worship, compared to that of helping those in need in your local community and even around the world? We're nearing the Christmas time, and it's the holiday season, and we spend a lot of money on gifts for each other. We do good things to those who do good things to us, or those that we feel responsible to give gifts for. We have to. And there's this almost conviction of giving gifts. And then there's the question, what about those in need? I know we're going to actually look at this chapter later on, Matthew chapter 25. But just consider for a moment some of how Jesus says when God looks at our lives, some of the questions, some of the things he looks at is where the transformation has taken place, is how have we helped those in need? How have we helped the poor among us, the stranger, the alien, not to sound too political, but the illegal immigrant among us? What are we doing to show the love of God, to care for their needs? Now, there's nothing innately wrong with being comfortable in worship, obviously. But I have to wonder, am I selfish in my wants? Am I selfish in my giving to make sure I feel comfortable with how I have my worship? Or am I focusing on the needs of others, the needs of those who don't have, those who can't give me a gift back? What might God be asking of you? I ask God that question for myself. What is God? God, what are you asking of me? What are you wanting me to do? Because you have saved me. You have given your all. What sacrifices are you asking for me to make to your glory and your honor and your kingdom's success? Because that is what it's all about, is seeking the kingdom of God. I challenge you to read Matthew 6 and let God convict your heart on what your gift is.